Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video on the channel, and today I want to talk about the NBA season awards and not necessarily talk about who should win, who shouldn't win, who deserves to win. I want to talk about if the season awards even matter at all, because this has been a discussion going on throughout the whole season, specifically when it comes to the MVP award. But now that we're seeing the top 3 finalists for every single award as well as the actual winner, this conversation is ramped up on the timeline, and I'll show y'all some examples.
But I'm sorry, most improved player isn't Tyrese Maxey's award, it's Kobe White's. Because to me, most improved player means a player with little expectations makes a huge unexpected leap. And I can't say it's Maxey's award, because when everyone in America expected him to make a natural jump similar to what he took this season when the 76ers moved off James Harden, it can't be his award. Think about Kobe White. Chicago didn't think much of him anymore. He was an inefficient scorer who was drafted 5 years ago, and every year after his sophomore season, his production would decline. But this season, he took a leap when no one saw it. He started all but one game this season when he was healthy, and he averaged an efficient 19 points per game with 5 assists. No one expected Kobe White to go from 9 to 19. I want to find the guy who did. I know you expected Tyrese Maxey to make this jump.
So on April 23rd, a couple of days ago, as of the recording of this video, Tyrese Maxey was announced the 2024 NBA Most Improved Player of the Year. I don't think anyone's denying that he's one of the most improved players of the year, but the fact that he won it, a lot of people do have a problem because they believe a player like Kobe White deserved it even more. If we look at the numbers in the 2023 season, Tyrese Maxey averaged 20 points, roughly 3.5 assists, 3 rebounds on really good efficiency, by the way, shooting 43% from 3. That's crazy. In this season, after James Harden leaves the Philadelphia 76ers, with Tyrese Maxey being the lead guard of this team, Tyrese Maxey improved to a 26 point per game scorer, averaged 6 assists, gave you 4 rebounds, on less efficiency, however, with a much higher offensive load. Compare that to Kobe White, who in the 2023 season was coming off the bench, was not even averaging 10 points a game, and then ended the 2024 season averaging 19 points a career high, 5 assists a career high, 5 rebounds a career high, on really good splits as well. And honestly, probably established himself as the only safe piece for the Chicago Bulls moving forward if they are trying to rebuild. And a lot of people have problems with the winner because the award is called the Most Improved Player. Who improved the most from one year to the next? And when you look at the statistics, Tyrese Maxey increased by 6 points a game, while Kobe White, while he didn't go up to 26 points a game, from an improvement standpoint, he improved from not even averaging 10 to averaging closer to 20. I personally actually don't have a problem with Tyrese Maxey winning the most improved player. If you looked at the votes, number one, it was really damn close. We're talking about, I believe, like 1 or 2 first place votes away from the actual winner swinging. Like, that's really close. But also, if you look at historically who has won the award, I'm sorry, it has not been just a flat out who improved the most statistically from one year to the next. Some years, yes, that's been the case, but let's say we look at the 2022 winner of the award, Ja Morant. He went from averaging 19 points a game to 27 points a game, which is a really big leap. But you can make the case that that's not a bigger statistical leap than DeJounte Murray going from 16 points a game to 21, upping his assists per game from 5 assists to 9 assists, averaging 1 more rebound a game. He led the league in steals. Or even a guy like Desmond Bane on his own team, going from a guy averaging 9 points a game coming off the bench his rookie year, all the way to a full-time starter and averaging 18 points a game. Now, if you want to say that's specifically a controversial one and that's not a good example, we can look at the year prior. Because in the season prior, Julius Randle won it, going from averaging 19.5 points to 24 points a game, doubling his assists per game and grabbing a little bit more rebounds, compared to Jeremy Grant, who went from averaging 12 points a game, once again coming off the bench, to becoming a starter for the Detroit Pistons, averaging 22 points a game, a 10 point per game increase. If we look at the season, Brandon Ingram won it. Brandon Ingram went from averaging 18 points a game to roughly 24 a game, while Bam Adebayo, who was the runner-up that year, a really close runner-up that year actually, went from averaging 9 points a game to 16 points a game, went from averaging 2 assists to 5 assists, 7 rebounds to 10 rebounds, yet he didn't win most improved. So I would actually make the case that this is consistent with how the NBA has voted throughout, at the very least, recent memory. The complaints do not stop here, though, because another award that a lot of people have a problem with is the Defensive Player of the Year. Now, I feel like during the end of the season, it has become a consensus that the top 2 candidates are Rudy Gobert and Victor Wembanyama, but a lot of people actually had a problem with Bam Adebayo specifically being that third person in the top 3. Because a lot of people believe Anthony Davis was snubbed. He was a better defender this season.
A question going around that needs an answer, which is, Why was Anthony Davis not named one of the 3 finalists for Defensive Player of the Year? A really valid question, because if you've watched this season in Anthony Davis, you know that he has been one of the top defensive players in the league, and he has been for quite some time, but it seems like he's never given the recognition or appreciation for his defensive game like others are. And before any of y'all come in here and start saying, well, maybe they didn't consider him a finalist because he's always injured. Well, that's a lie, because Anthony Davis played 76 games this season compared to last year when he played 56 games and the year before that where he played 40. This was the most available and healthy that we have seen Anthony Davis. And when he is available and healthy, we see what we had this year defensively on that floor for him, being one of the best defensive players for the Lakers by far. Out of these 3 finalists, people are starting to ask and measure up these 3 to Anthony Davis and saying, well, what does Bam Adebayo do better defensively than Anthony Davis? What does Rudy Gobert do defensively better than Anthony Davis? What does Victor Wembanyama do better than Anthony Davis? Those are questions that now people are asking when you're talking about Defensive Player of the Year.
But I would also like to make the case that, man, if you're not really in that top 2, if you don't have a case for being the Defensive Player of the Year, I really don't care if you're 3rd or 4th. That's just me. I'm not about to dock the voters for not getting 3 and 4 right when, to be honest with you, a lot of us don't care because it's a 1 and 2 race. Some people even have a problem with a guy like Joe Mazzulla not being a finalist for Coach of the Year after coaching the Boston Celtics, albeit being on a stacked team. Nevertheless, he still got them to 64 wins, and the fact that he's not a finalist, why should we take these awards seriously? We've had discussions all year about the MVP award specifically. Is Luka getting robbed? What does a guy like Jason Tatum need to do to be in that conversation? Is Nikola Jokic a cheat code when it comes to the MVP award? These are discussions that we've been having all year. So that begs the question, do these awards matter in 2024? And truth be told, as much as everyone wants to make the claim that they don't, I truly do believe they matter, because if they didn't matter, we would not be talking about them. Things that do not matter in your life, you do not talk about, especially to this extent. And even if we want to take fans out of it, to NBA players, these awards matter. You want to be respected by your peers. You want to be respected by this conglomerate that you're a part of. Is it something that should define who you are? Absolutely not. But to act like these awards don't matter, to act like if you get these awards, you're not going to be proud of yourself, you're not about to be flexing the fact that you won the MVP, like, you're lying to yourself. Same thing with the Grammys and music. Again, should they hold as much weight to the point where we're discrediting people if they don't win a Grammy, if they don't win an MVP? No, but to act like they don't matter, you're lying to yourself. If you're not about to flex 3, 4, 5 MVPs in your trophy case, you're just lying. I think just being in the conversation of X award is truly what should signify the season that you're having. If you end up being a finalist for Defensive Player of the Year, that should encapsulate the season that you had defensively and how great it was, to the point where you were considered to be one of the best defenders in the league. That is what you and your fans should be proud of at the end of the day, period, point blank, if you win the award or not. Same thing with the MVP. If you're a top 5, top 4, top 3, top 2, the winner of the MVP award, that signifies to me you were one of the best players in the league, period, point blank. Period, point blank. You had a tremendous regular season to the point where we can even make the case, however weak it is, that you were arguably the best player in this 82-game time span. And that says a lot about the season that you have. And historically speaking, and now I might sound hypocritical after everything that I just said, if we look at the conversations we have about certain years, I truly do not think we hold these awards, even as a society, as an NBA community, as high as we make it out to be. Again, not to say that they don't matter, but to go on the opposite end of the spectrum and say that, if James Harden doesn't win X MVP X year, that we're just gonna forget about his NBA season. Like, no, that's not the case. Giannis won the MVP award in 2019, but on God, we talk about James Harden averaging 36 that year, way more than Giannis winning the MVP that season. Steve Nash won the 06 MVP, but we talk about Kobe averaging 35 that season, way more than Steve Nash winning that MVP. LeBron James was 1 vote away from being the unanimous MVP in 2013. And not to say that we don't talk about 2013 LeBron. I'm not about to go that far. But Carmelo Anthony not winning the MVP award does not make that season more or less memorable for Knicks fans. For Celtics fans, Isaiah Thomas in 2017. Hell, John Wall that year for Wizards fans. There are so many seasons that I could talk about that all of us remember what the fuck happened that season. All of us remember what X player did that season. even though that player was not awarded any sort of award for it. I really do think the NBA needs to establish a way more consistent voting criteria, because I think the worst thing the NBA can do moving forward is being as inconsistent as possible. Now, I do think for the MVP award specifically, we are having way more nuanced discussions now than in 2010 or even 2015 when it comes to the MVP award. There is not as much winning bias as previous decades when it comes to voting for that specific award. But all I'm saying is that now that there is a change in how we discuss these things, we gotta be consistent with how we vote. Because I think the one thing that's going to make these awards not matter at all is if the voting criteria changes every single year. If the voting criteria is consistent every single year, you may disagree with how they vote, but at least they're consistent with who they give the award to. If they change how they vote, if they change the criteria every single year, now we're gonna have this sense of, oh, so y'all are just picking and choosing every single year who y'all give it to. One year you're choosing this criteria, next year you're choosing this criteria. And honestly, I think that's exactly why the MVP award specifically has been so volatile the last couple of years. A lot of people had complaints with how voters voted for the MVP award. And I believe the NBA, ever since 2017, has actually changed their criteria slightly to make and amend for those changes. There's a sector of the people that asked for that change that actually like it because, oh my God, this is the change I was looking for. Thank God we're actually going in this direction. And then there's another sector of people who also wanted the change, but now they're being petty because, where was this when I played? Where was this when I grew up? When I grew up, there was a certain standard to what the MVP is. What is it now? So now it's just become this whole polarizing thing. But let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Do these awards matter? Do they not? Are people just yapping? Or do they actually mean something? If you like seeing me in pain, which a lot of y'all apparently do, based off of the numbers in the back end, go ahead and watch this video right here. This is my reaction after the Celtics lost Game 2 against Miami. It was a fun one. And it was a funny video. But with that being said, I'm going to catch you on the next one, man. Peace.